Hi guys. So I wanted to make a video about this because it's not something that I think about much anymore. I used to think about it all the time. It was like my main problem in life and something that used to make me really depressed. And now it doesn't. I'm fine, and I don't think about it much. And when I do, I guess it's kind of like wistfully. I don't really. I don't dwell on it in the same way that I did. But once in a while it comes up and I feel unhappy. Today I thought about it and I just felt like a kind of wave of depression come over me. And I thought, man, it would be good to like talk to someone about it, because I don't know. I've been through quite a lot in my life. Not loads compared to some people, but I've suffered quite a bit. But this has been one of the hardest things to deal with, and I guess probably from the outside it might not seem so, and it might be hard to understand why it would be so painful or difficult, but it has been, And as such, I mean, I understand it's not, but this is probably not very interesting to many people at all. But I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, it'd be good to talk to someone. And then I thought, well, my girlfriend's heard enough about this over the years, and my family don't understand, nor would I expect them to. And I don't like therapists, to be honest, most of the time. Some of them are great, some of them are fine, but I can't afford to go to a therapist. I don't really want to. And I just thought, I might as well just make a video about it, I like making these videos. And so as I say, I know that to a lot of people this is not interesting and there's much bigger problems in the world. But I think other people have probably experienced similar sort of failures or difficulties in things they've tried to accomplish in their lives. And I'm not, trying to say that this is something that should be of importance to others, really, but it's just my world, basically. I can only speak for myself, but so when I was, as I said, I've kind of talked about this before, like in earlier videos, in the very, very early videos I made, but I was in a bit of a state then, I guess, and I don't think I was as good at making videos, and I don't know, I don't know. I never really talked about it in a way that I would like to. So when I was like around 18 or 19, I started writing things. Rap, but like to me, I guess I didn't see rap as a thing that has to be a certain way. I just saw it as a way of expressing thoughts and words. I didn't buy into the whole cultural thing around it, and how if you rap it has to be about this, and if you're a white rapper you have to like act a certain way and you have to do a certain, and rap has to be about certain themes. And I've been influenced by that over the years, but I just thought, well, it's just a type of music, isn't it? Like you could, if you wanted to, you could make rock music about like gang life and street life and killing people. You'd just be using guitars and singing in a style of rock music, and you could, there's no reason why you can't do that. And similarly to me, there was no reason why you couldn't just rap about just stuff like, just the kind of stuff you would make indie music about or anything. And there were people who did that. There were people who did that before me. A lot of people who did that before me in various ways who influenced me. Yoni Wolf from Y was a big one. He kind of, I guess, also mixed the sounds of other genres in, which I kind of did as well. And there were various other people. When I was younger, there were often artists popped up, like people like Jamie T and stuff like that, but generally they were kind of influenced by hip hop. You could hear a hip hop influence, but they mixed it with other genres and stuff. But anyway, yeah, I felt like there was a shift waiting to happen in rap music, and that people wanted it, you know. And I wanted it, and that was the most important thing. You know, I just thought, like, why do I have to justify my existence just because I'm like middle class and white? If I'm going to rap, I have to like do it in a certain way or say certain things. And I found that really annoying, and I thought it's just getting from A to B. It's just like expressing feelings and thoughts, like any form of art. You're just like expressing yourself, and like I didn't personally see those barriers, but I was aware that those barriers existed in the minds of other people. So I felt like that was my calling, was to do that. And at the time, there was rap that dealt with feelings and stuff to some degree, but I mean, lots of rap anyway of a sort of street disposition does, but it deals with feelings that often specifically relate to that kind of thing. There was rap, but there was a kind of ironic, sad rap movement going on at the time, and I didn't really like how it was always ironic. There was this irony to everything, kind of like a self-deprecating irony. And some of that music I really like, and some of those artists I still listen to and really like Young Lean and people like that. I really like his music more so now than I did then. I think he's brilliant, but like there was a lot of irony. It was drenched in irony, and even things like a lot of the sort of SoundCloud rap and people like Lil Peep and stuff. As much as I'm sure fans of some of this music would dispute this, I would say there is a level of like irony to it, a kind of referential, kind of subversive irony or something. And I felt like that was not necessary, or at least that it would be good to have something else, for other things to exist that didn't contain that kind of irony and didn't have that kind of, I don't know, self-awareness. I don't know what you'd call it. And I, for years I felt like, you know, making music was not something I would do or should do or did. It wasn't, I always wanted to, but like I couldn't like play instruments. I didn't have the discipline to learn how to do things properly. I just had a really bad mindset. I couldn't do anything. Like I just couldn't sit down and do anything, and I couldn't apply myself. I couldn't learn skills. I couldn't do anything, you know. I was good at things that you could just do innately, just like talking and stuff, but I couldn't do, I didn't have any skills, you know. So I just grew up thinking, oh well, I love music, but I guess that's a thing that other people do and I'll never do it anyway. And I felt self-conscious. I felt self-conscious to start. I felt self-conscious to try out to do anything, you know. I was wanting to like be in bands and stuff, but I just didn't see that as something I could do. And then I went through a period of great depression when I was like 19 or so, and a very dysfunctional time in my life, and very lonely. And I just started sort of becoming quite, I guess I was a weird person to be around at that time, but it was a very, very formative time. I like started to just say kind of like fuck it in my head. I just developed this like who gives a shit mentality, because I thought I have no friends, I have no girlfriends, I have no life, I have nothing. I don't even have a job. You know, I was living in a for free basically. I barely paid any rent. I was on job seekers, and in a room in a house that my parents rented out, and just I was just a bum, you know. I didn't have any prospects, and they wanted me out, and it was, you know, just I'd dropped out and everything, and it seemed like I had nothing to lose. Which in some ways, having nothing to lose, or feeling like you have nothing to lose, is very bad. It caused me to make bad decisions at that time in my life that I still regret. It caused me to be an unpleasant person, but it gave me a great freedom that that other people I knew didn't have, people I'd, for example, associated with previously, been friends with, and I still sort of knew, like, but didn't live near or hang out with or anything, and I could see that I had a kind of freedom that they didn't have, and I really valued that freedom. And I wouldn't say it made me happy, because I wasn't happy, but it gave me it was definitely a freedom, in like, who cares what I do, like, who cares? No one does, so whatever. So within that, I started, still very self-consciously, but like writing things, and writing, they weren't even really raps. I guess they were like poems to music, it was somewhere between the two. Some of them were really short, some of them were just tacked on to the end of another song. I'd be listening to like an indie song or an electronic song or something that was not hip-hop at all, and I would just write something to a part of it, sometimes over a part that had words. Just things would just come to me. I have this feeling of just like I wanted to write things, and when I first started, it was this really precious thing to me, and some of the first few things I wrote were like ridiculous. I'd been making beats for a while before this, and made some quite good beats and stuff, and had some on SoundCloud that had a few plays and things, and but weird. It was always weird stuff. I didn't know how to make beats. I feel I had a talent, like I was good at. I was creative, but I didn't know how to make beats. I didn't make things properly. If someone asked me make this, I wouldn't be able to do it, but I was making interesting, weird stuff. Some of it was probably sounds terrible to someone who doesn't have a nostalgic association with it, but some of it at the same time was quite interesting, I think, and I've always valued stuff like that more, weird stuff where some of it is really cool and weird, and then some of it maybe is shit, but it's still different. Like, I don't understand why anyone would want to sound exactly like everyone else or someone else, or make something that is already in existence. What's the point, I never understood that. So I started writing these things, and they were very sort of important to me, very like precious to me, and I was still, even despite this like fuck it, exterior I had developed, I was still very self-conscious about this whole thing, and very private, and but I after I guess like 5 or 6 or 7 things I wrote, I started thinking like, wow, like this is it wasn't so much I thought these things are amazing, although I did. I've always had a kind of inflated sense of value of my own creations, not of all of them, but I guess when I look back on some things that I thought back then, I thought this song will change the world. Some of them were not that good, but what I was right about was that it wasn't difficult for me. I didn't have to go through. It was just completely natural. They just came out of me, like, and I feel like that is the thing. That's like it. Like if that happens, if things just come out of you and they are the way you want them to be, and you kind of watch them come out of you in amazement, and you feel like you're in a flow state and stuff, like, then that's it. That's the important thing, and that is. For all the subjectivity of different people liking different things or whatever, that's like a talent, in itself, and that's something that a lot of people, even people who make it in art in some way, don't have. Like they have to sit and labor over things and think, what should a song be like? What should the next line of this be? What would people like? How is this song? This is a kind of so-and-so type song, and for me it was like, no, I want to fucking say this, and I'm going to say this, and this is what I'm saying, what is in me, and I'm just getting it out, and so I was amazed by this, and I felt like, wow, this is important. This is. I have something, finally, sort of in my life, and And of course, as well, concurrently, I had big, I thought, I'm just like, I'm on another level, and like I'm going to change everything, and my vision for how music should be, and for how this is so important, and like I don't need to mix anything that's stupid, and I don't need to practice, that's fucking stupid. And I'm so pure, and I'm just unbelievable at this, and my words are so important, and I would never, some of the stuff I wrote back then, I don't know, again, it's nostalgia or whatever, I look at it, I'm like, wow, that's pretty fucking good, like for someone who just started making stuff and whatever, and some of it has a really like real like human quality to it, but some of it is fucking terrible, and I'm like, I didn't have any sense of like quality control. I didn't have I didn't have it in me to go, okay, yeah, I am doing good stuff here, but this is fucking shit. And just because I wrote it, and just because it took me a long time to write, just because I have some kind of weird attachment to it, that does not mean it's good. I was incapable of doing that. So if I finished it, I was like, this is good, and this is important, and this matters. And I never wanted to like waste or sort of throw anything away, which is crazy, because now I understand that like you have to write a lot of, generally speaking, you have to make a lot of bad things in order to make like one good thing most of the time, but I thought, no, I can't ever get rid of anything I make, and everything I make is important. And so I guess it turned into a kind of deranged arrogance, really, or arrogance, probably even the wrong word. It was like a sort of, I guess what would be called, if they were sort of pathologized, would be like sort of narcissistic delusions of grandeur. Like, and at times I would, I don't know if you've seen that like Beyonce video where she's crying and she's like, I don't know why God gave me these talents, and like, why me, and why. I used to think like that. I used to think like, to be honest, I still do sometimes, but like, I used to think like, why me? Like, why am I so good at this? I thought like, what a coincidence. Of all, why am I me? Like, why am I this guy who's like so good, and like that doesn't make any sense? What are the odds? Why am I not just some guy who just works at the bank? Like, why am I so gifted and special and shit? And it really like, it sort of drove me a bit mad. I wouldn't even say that I wouldn't even say I don't have those feelings anymore. I just learned to be sort of grown up about them, and in a way I think that's maybe a bad thing, because I had this like burning kind of feeling in me back then, and I didn't have that self-awareness to say, okay, it's kind of obnoxious to talk about, or even really to indulge in thinking about yourself in that way. I didn't have that self-awareness, and in a way it's kind of a beautiful thing. Like, it was just in my head, it was just like me, like, I wouldn't even say me against the world, but it was like, it was so real. It was all so real, and I didn't have any, I had self-doubt, I had self-consciousness, I wasn't confident, but on some level inside, I was like, nah, man, I'm like, I'm just on another planet, like, and it also meant I didn't try very hard at certain things, and I didn't question myself much, as I said, and anyway, for a while it was a private thing, and I would only show, there were only two people I really showed things to at first, and it was when I was like on MDMA with them. I would just be like, oh, I'm going to show you this thing, because we were like on so much MDMA, I felt like, comfortable, and they'd be like, oh, it's fucking crazy, man. They had the same reaction as me, which made me feel really good. And like, some of that was probably because they were on MDMA, but I was like, yeah, I'm right, like, this is really good. This is brilliant. And I still felt, and I still, to be honest, I still do. I don't like saying I'm a rapper, or that I rap. And sometimes when I'm just in a casual conversation, I very rarely mention that I make music, to be honest. I find it embarrassing because I don't have much success to speak of. And to most people, and I'm fully aware of this, like to most people, what I make is like terrible. Like there's a certain, what's much more important to me is that there are a number of people who love it and think it's amazing, and that is all that matters. I'd much rather, if 100% of people thought like, yeah, this guy's okay, you know, like he can like play the guitar and sing okay, it's not bad, but nobody really cared, I wouldn't bother. I just think, what's the point in making something like that? But to me, if even, I don't know, maybe 60% of people think it's bad, but 40% of people really like it, and I might be being a bit generous with those ratios, but it's, to me, it's much more important to make things that some people really fucking love, because the people who don't like it, they can just listen to something else. People who love it and who relate to it and connect to it, that's important, you know. There's a lot of mediocre content out there. There's a lot of stuff that's just okay that you could watch or listen to that's not bad, but who wants to do that, you know? It's better, I think, to be polarizing. But still, for that reason, if I'm talking to like a sort of normal, in quotes, person, I avoid saying I'm a musician full stop, because they'll be like, oh, let me see what you make, and then I'll show them and they'll be like, oh. Not always. Some people, to be fair, are like, fuck, that's incredible. Like, but some people you can sort of see, they're like, this is really weird and bad, and his voice is horrible, and why does this exist, and why would anyone listen to this? Because they're listening to, like, you know, Pharrell or whatever, you know, they just can't understand why anyone would. And that's, I get that, you know, I'm not bothered by that, but I specifically, I hate saying I'm a rapper. It's really embarrassing to me. I've always found it embarrassing, and that was one of the things I wanted to change. I wanted to make it that saying you're a rapper is no different to saying that you're a guitarist or you're a singer or whatever. It's just, and now it's changing, but it feels a lot more embarrassing to say, for example, to a 60-year-old person, yeah, I'm a rapper, than it does to just say, I sing in a band. You know, it just feels ridiculous, to be honest, like most of the time. And on the other side of it, I remember Danny Brown saying in an interview, in a podcast, I think it was on the Champs, he said telling people you're a rapper is like the most embarrassing thing, because if you have to tell them that you're a rapper, then it means they don't know who you are, and it means you're sort of nobody, you know. So when you're like not successful, you're just telling everyone that you do. They don't know, you know, whereas I guess the level he's at now, most people he encounters, they know who he is because he's living in a world of success, you know. Yeah. And so it's that too, you know, just telling, just whatever. But yeah, particularly the sort of rap aspect. So yeah, I was very private about it. And then I started gradually, I guess, like coming out of that a bit, and took me, like, it was a big thing. I all my songs I used to whisper. I used to whisper them to practice. I didn't want my family to hear me, because for a while they were renting that place out to other people, and I was living in one room, and then they were living there for a lot of it as well, like my parents and my brother and his wife and stuff like that. And I was really uncomfortable that they would hear me, rapping and be like, he's rapping, that's fucking ridiculous, you know. Like, I just couldn't handle the thought of that, and I just didn't want anyone to hear what I was saying, and I just was so private about it. So I used to just put the beats on and then get really close to the speakers and really close to the screen and just like whisper the words and things. And a couple of times I tried recording, and you know that feeling when you're like a little boy and you know, if you're assuming you're male, if you're a little boy and the first time you hear yourself on recording and you're like, no. I feel like every boy had that experience, like every man had that experience when they were a boy, like first time you hear yourself on recording and you're like, bro, that's not me. Check this camera, there's something wrong with this camera, something's fucked up here, the audio on this is fucked. Have you pitch shifted this? That's not how I sound, I'm a bloke, you know. You're like, no, this isn't me. I remember being that age I remember being in primary school and thinking, I'm like, well, me and my mates, like, we were just like a bunch of guys, you know? Like, I didn't really sort of contemplate our age. I was just like, we're just a group of guys, you know? We're just some dudes. And then you see someone that age and you're like, oh, they're literally like the size of a baby. But yeah, I just... so it was a bit like that. Like, I remember I tried a couple of times recording stuff into literally a laptop mic, and I heard it and I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. Like, this is just so bad. Like, how could it be this bad? And I thought if you have it in you, you have music in you, you have, you know, it's in your, I was sort of a bit, you know, like, it's in my soul, like, this is me, it comes from the heart and stuff. And I thought then, therefore, it should just be good. Everything I do should just be good. I should just record it and it'll sound amazing. Doesn't matter that I'm using a laptop mic, doesn't matter that I'm like hunched over like this, doesn't matter that I haven't practiced it, doesn't matter that I've only been doing it for a few months, doesn't matter that I didn't put any energy into doing it, doesn't matter that I haven't mixed it yet, it should sound really good. And it didn't. It sounded obviously terrible, and I just thought, again, I couldn't put anything into perspective, so I thought, oh, this is maybe this everything I thought is wrong, or maybe I cannot succeed because I can write but I cannot rap. I was having ridiculous thoughts. Like, I started thinking, like, can I get someone else to do it for me, or like because I knew I could write, and I was like, I just can't. I can't do it. And again, in my sort of undisciplined mind, if I couldn't do it immediately, I couldn't do it. It wasn't a matter of saying I should just try and keep trying and get better and improve. I was like, that stuff's for fucking idiots. Like, that's stupid, man. You don't have to practice. You're just good at it or you're not. You know, I really had a weird attitude. Never tried hard at anything in my life. Ever. I never tried hard. I just had never tried hard at anything. I can't remember anything that I tried hard at as a kid. I just did not. And so I thought, oh, maybe this is game over, you know? Maybe I'm doomed to some cursed sort of joke of a destiny, you know, like that I'm really good at writing, but I'll never be able to perform them. Stupid. Anyway, I don't remember exactly, but I guess, you know, it was always important enough to me that I kept going, and I kept keeping going doesn't always mean keeping going in a way that's really strong or emphatic or admirable. Just keeping going, you know, in the same way that someone who's sort of hanging on to life by a thread and they're really ill and they just about survive and then they get better and then they're not necessarily thriving, but they're still alive, you know. And it was like it was always alive. It never died, and I never let it die, and it was always important enough to me, and it still hasn't. It's still there, and it always will be in some form or another. But then I sort of over time, I started to very slowly, over the course of years and years, I started to, I guess I would have a lot of personal failures, and they would devastate me. They were just devastating to me. I couldn't. I had some things that went okay early on. I had a couple of songs. I had a song called If I Ever Really, which it still holds up. It's a pretty good song, actually. When I listened to it the other day, and I was like, shit, it's pretty good. And I had a couple of songs around that time that they did okay. I don't know. I had ways of getting people to listen to things, basically, mostly just sort of like pestering people to listen to it, and I had no means of distributing anything and whatever, and I didn't have like a big social network of people, so it wasn't a lot of people I've noticed. They get their mates to come to their shows, and then a few other people come along, and then the shows become a bit of a thing, and then they become a local thing, and then a lot of it, to be honest, is social. I mean, that's just a fact of the music industry. It's like, I don't want to say predominantly social, I haven't thought about it enough, but it is far more social than it should be, really, or then perhaps it might appear to be from the outside. If you don't have networking and social skills, it's very, very, very difficult to succeed, unless you have a lot of money, ideally both. So a couple of things went well, but then once in a while things would go, well, most of the time I think things would go kind of badly. I would put something out and like nobody would listen to it, or I worked on the second sort of EP album thing I worked on, I thought was like, it was a real labour of love basically, and I thought like I had so much emotional investment in it I can't really describe, and I had to finish these things. I guess I had to overcome my own deep-seated laziness and personal inadequacies that existed outside of music, and I had to. I used to be. I was intimidated by it. I was like afraid. I'd hear all people whose music I liked, and they'd be like, "Yeah, we were in the studio for 3 days making that one. We didn't sleep." And I'd be like, "What? Like 3 days? How do you work on something for 3 days?" And I was like, "Do I have to do?" I kept thinking, "I have to do this." It's like something I have to. It was a bit like, you know, when you're a kid and you're looking at like adult life, and the older you get, it starts to become a bit scary. You're like, I have to do these things. This is a part of life. Like, and like, you sort of like, I don't know, like, I was sort of like, I thought, man, I just can't imagine. It was a big insecurity, you know. I just thought I'll never be able to work that hard. But again, I kind of just, through sort of love of what I was doing and through a sort of religious feeling that it was like important, and also that I had a duty to do it, I felt like, for all my sort of arrogance surrounding it, I felt like I've been given something and it's not up to me, and I wouldn't say like God per se, but I felt like I was disrespecting life or the universe or the source or God or whatever. I just felt like I had rules, for example, like if I, you know, turn the tap on, metaphorically, I'm not allowed to turn it off. I'm not allowed to get up and turn it off until water has stopped coming out, you know, like I had to respect wherever this was coming from, because I did feel like I was like channeling things as well. So that pushed me, and I remember this one project, I was like, I couldn't believe how hard I worked on it. And by other people's standards, it's just normal. It's probably what some people do every day. But I used to mix things on. I just had Logitech like PC speakers. I didn't have any proper equipment, and I didn't have any money, and I had nothing. And I would mix things on those. And yeah, this project anyway, I remember like being like to my girlfriend, I know I can't come and watch TV, like I can't hang out with you, I can't play games tonight, you know, and I have to work on this. And I was working on it all day, you know. Some days I guess I was doing it for like 12 hours, but this was just in the finishing stage, you know. I was working on it for like 12 hours a day for just a few days. But to me, that was, you know, I couldn't hold down jobs. I used to get fired all the time, and like, I just didn't, I say I couldn't do anything. I just didn't, you know. And so I surpassed myself greatly. And then I finished this project, and I felt so like I felt like, man, this is just so good. And I don't know about that one. I listened to it recently and I thought, well, it's definitely, I can't listen to it without my kind of sad, wistful, nostalgic ear. And I can't really, I tried to think, well, okay, even if it's good, is this something I would want to listen to? I don't know. Is it something, if I didn't make this, would I might hear it and think, yeah, this is good, but I have fucking zero interest in listening to it. It was called Buddy, the project. It was like all like Buddy Holly samples and stuff, and me sort of rapping over them. And it's quite an emotional kind of project. It was a concept album. And yeah, there's some good stuff in there. But in hindsight, I see like maybe there's not a time when you want to sit down to listen to a concept album of that nature, of a guy who doesn't have very much technique, who sounds a bit mad, and who is all a bit kind of like things he's saying are a bit crazy, and like, you know, there's I would say definitely if you listen to that and you were looking for potential or talent or creativity and you were really listening, you'd say, yeah, it's definitely there. And maybe with some help, some sort of mentoring or some sort of decent producer or someone who can sort of slap a bit of sense into him, like, this guy could be really fucking good. He's clearly got like it, whatever it is. That doesn't necessarily mean that this project is a good product for you know, for audience consumption. But anyway, I put it out, and I guess I don't remember what it was but I guess like nobody really cared, nobody listened to it, and I emailed it to a lot of places, a lot of blogs, every blog I could find. I was like scouring the web, and I was brutally upset by this. I remember just like, I just couldn't. That was the first time I had that feeling, because I thought like I felt a sense of entitlement. I felt like I've worked so hard on this, it should be something. And I don't, to be honest, recall. I didn't have any kind of feedback on it. So most people probably just like, oh, I'm not listening to this. This is horrible. I didn't. In my mind, I thought like, I'll at least have some kind of something from the world, you know, about this. I didn't expect, certainly not by that time, I didn't expect I'm going to be like a huge success, like I'm going to make loads of money. And I've never cared about that. I've never thought, everything has to go the way I want it to and everything. But I just didn't, it felt like it just went into a void. And I was bitterly miserable about that. And that was a feeling, I guess, that was relatively new to me at the time, but that I would experience a lot over the coming years. And it's only in the last 3 years maybe that I've learned to deal with that and not have it just kind of wreck me. And hence, I mean, I'm making this video today, you know, because I started thinking about a lot of this stuff, and I first started to feel pretty sad, to be honest. So I just what it is, I guess, is the part that, and the thing that triggered it today, really, that made me think about it. It's been a weird mix of success and failure. There's a bit of a head fuck, like, because I read some emails I've had from people, and some like messages and some comments, and I'm like, man, like, you know, it makes me want to cry. Like, the things people say are so nice, and the way they describe the music is exactly how I feel about it, and the way it makes them feel is exactly what I intend to make people feel by making it. And they get it, and they really like it, and they're like, man, this, like, people will say like, I don't understand why you're not successful, and like, this is one of the best things I've ever heard, and like, this more people need to hear this, and like, this is so good and stuff. And I'll be like, yeah, I'm not crazy, like, I'm right, you know, like, that it can be perceived in that way, you know. I would never expect everyone to like what I make at all. I wouldn't even want them to. But yeah, I would read these things and think, yeah, I'm not mad. Because why would someone say that? You know, you look at some people who are doing stuff for years and no one says that because no one feels that way. No one actually likes what they do. And no one views it in the way they intend people to view it. And it's just bad, basically. And if I could have told myself that, it would have been a lot easier. If I could have just said, okay, I guess as far as the external world goes, I'm a fucking terrible musician, and this should just be something I do for myself. But I had a lot of validation for what I was doing over the years, and still continue to get a lot of it mixed in with like people calling me an R word and a whatever, and like pathetic and kill yourself and all of this stuff, and like a lot of, like mean remarks and stuff. And I don't care because they're peppered in with people saying like, this is just so creative and good and I love this. And, sometimes it's peaks and troughs. Sometimes you go through phases where it's like kind of just the insulting stuff, the mean stuff. And you start to think, oh man. And then someone else, you get something and you're like, oh, and it's a bit, the way when I'm describing it out loud now, it's a bit like, it's not good in a way to live in a manner that's so dependent on external validation in that way. And I don't really, I don't, when I make something, I'm not like, oh, other people will think this is good. I'm like doing it because I believe that it's good. And I try to go from my own kind of internal compass. But of course, naturally, if someone's like, you're a fucking ugly freak and you're a, R word and you should kill yourself and you're a pathetic embarrassment, you're a bit like, oh, that's not very nice. You sort of get a bit of a, and like, to be honest now, I'm more or less immune to it, but you don't feel great, basically. And then, or when people, sometimes when they say things and you're like, yeah, they're right, this thing is bad, this song or whatever is bad, and they were right, and I should like delete this and stuff, and you get things like that, and it's natural, I guess, that it bothers you. And of course also it's natural that if someone says like, like, I've never heard anything like this is amazing and stuff, you feel really good, and you feel like, oh good, yeah, what I'm doing is what I think I'm doing. And yeah, even early on, I had both sides of that. But I guess I felt that people would notice what I was doing more. And what I thought was, I knew it was rough around the edges. I knew it was not like a completed thing, but I felt like that someone, and this is naive in hindsight, but I felt like someone in the industry, be it a producer or another artist or a journalist or a blogger, would notice what I was doing and say like, this guy needs development and like support. And I thought that was, because when you hear people talk about, you watch documentaries about the music and stuff, they're like, oh, I saw this guy and he was so good and I just knew that he needed to, whatever, and I took him under my wing, and I thought like, I thought that would happen to me. I thought someone will go, man, this is amazing, and you need like a budget, and you need someone, a sort of Rick Rubin type fella, like telling you what to do and what not to do, or you need people to write about you so you can get some shows, so you can get some money, so you can put that money into buying some better equipment, so you can make better stuff, so you can make more money, so you can make... I thought something or someone was going to put me on the ladder and it would snowball. That the requisite level of faith would be put in me, and as a result I also made a lot of bad decisions in terms of I held back a lot of songs because I thought no, any day now shit's going to change. I'm not going to be in the fucking living room on my Logitech speakers not knowing how to mix. I never wanted to mix, I wanted someone else to do it, but I didn't have any money to pay someone, and I thought, I'll make it any day now. I'm going to make it, literally. I'm just going to make it. It's going to happen. Like, I'm going to get like signed or something. And I didn't want to sign to a label, but I thought I'll get unofficially signed. I'll have access to money and to, someone will pay me to do something. And and whatever. And I just thought, they want talented people. A lot of people in the industry, they struggle to create things. They've got plenty of like good-looking people and people who can sing, and people, you know, they're 10 a penny really, but like a lot of people struggle to actually create things, and lyrics in particular people struggle with. I don't, and never did. And I don't think there is anyone really who, like, I don't think there's a better lyricist basically in the world. I just don't, like, and I don't know who people could name even. And I guess to assess that, you'd have to listen to everything I've ever written, which like a lot of people wouldn't want to do because they don't like the way it sounds. But to me, yeah, I don't think there's anyone who can write. And I've gotten rid of a lot of my, I would say, delusional thoughts, but I still feel that's completely true. I really feel like when it comes to writing lyrics, I just don't think there's anyone who's even close. And I always thought that will matter. They'll want that. Someone will want that, and they'll be like, let's fucking put this guy to work, you know. So I most of my best songs from that time, from when I was younger, I didn't release, I didn't record, and now I'm 30 and I'm like, I don't really want to say these words. It's a bit embarrassing, and these are songs written by like a 21-year-old, and I just don't, the music was sort of crudely put together, and it's just not how I feel now. And that is something I would strongly advise against doing, holding back all those things and waiting and being possessive of your own stuff. Let it all fucking come out, man. Like, whatever the shit you're doing is, like, I'm not saying don't be smart or strategic in any way, but man, like, you never know what's going to happen or what success you will or won't have. Just let all of that shit fucking come out of you with the best of your ability, and know that there'll probably be more around the corner. That's what I wish I had known. I wish someone had told me that. I know how entitled I sound, like, but I wish someone had just said, fucking stop it, man. Like, you know, just record these songs because they're good, and don't worry if the mix is crap, and there'll be more songs, and you can look back on these and they can be really good early things that you did, but you have to learn anyway. You're not gonna, you know. Yeah, one second. I don't know if you can hear the creaking door. I'm gonna have to go and close that. Yeah, so the mentorship and the support and things of that nature that I think I said things of that nature just then, I'm not sure. I was just eating an apple, sorry, my mouth's still kind of full of apple. Things of that nature that I was looking for, they never came, not even a little bit. The silence was kind of deafening in that regard. I had a couple of times, you know, people would, I would email people and ask for advice and stuff, you know, and a couple of people said quite nice things and whatever. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't what I thought it would. I thought that, I didn't know that people in the arts got to know each other in real life. I thought they got to know each other through their work. I thought that was why they were friends. They were friends because they made similar stuff. But I think mostly it's the other way round. They made similar stuff because they were friends. They were part of a scene, or they knew each other from doing shows, and they became friends. And then they, you know, like, most people don't want to work with someone that they're not friends with. I do understand that now, like, a bit more. It doesn't, to me, explain the full extent of my experiences, but I do get also that, like, that, you know, it can't be just about your skills or your talent or whatever. There are other factors to consider. But regardless, yeah, I thought at least someone might say, you know, hey, you know, this is really good what you're doing. You're not at a level where I would work with you, but, like, fucking keep going, and, you know, great work you're doing, you know, and you should be proud or whatever. I so badly wanted some kind of recognition from someone who I saw as above me in that way, you know. I was desperate for it, and probably it wouldn't have done that much for me. As I say, I did have validation from listeners. I had things that other people would, are desperate to have and would dream of. And that wasn't enough to keep me going, like, emotionally. So perhaps had, an artist I looked up to or something been really supportive or encouraging, it might not have meant as much to me as I thought it would have done. But I was surprised. I was surprised at how coldly disinterested they all seemed to be, apart from a couple of occasions where it kind of felt like they wanted something from me, and they were assessing how much they could get out of me, and people were very transactional, and it was not the way I thought it would be at all. It was disappointing. And then I thought, well, okay, cool. The people who I love and stuff, they don't care. That's not that shocking. So I'll find similar people. And I found that, to be honest, very difficult. And, in some situations you have to say, okay, well, if I have this issue with everyone, perhaps it's not the world's fault. Perhaps it's my problem. It's something to do with me. Yeah, I've considered that a lot over the years, and I thought the way I'm approaching these situations must be wrong, and but I could never quite square that. I could never quite square that with how a lot of listeners responded to my music, and I would think you'd think someone, and there have been. I'm speaking I'm painting in broad strokes here. It's not to say that there was nothing or that I could never, but. Generally speaking, to be honest, I would find myself. I remember at a time I thought I have to collaborate. It's the only way. I would go through these manic phases of different things that I felt were necessary, and I thought, this is where it's been going wrong. I haven't collaborated with anyone. I was so desperate, and I couldn't find. I'd go on these forums and I'd do so, and I thought, man, I need to find, just someone to make a song with once in a while, And I did. Ultimately, I did find some people, but there were times I was collaborating with teenagers that had 10 plays on SoundCloud. Do you know what I mean? And and I'd be like, what am I and they weren't even good, but I would be trying straining to hear something good in their music to think, oh, maybe I can work with this person, and I was desperate. I was just desperate. I was every day I woke up and I was desperate. And by this point, that desperation had, after some years, led to me being quite a lot more industrious and productive and quite consistent about working on things. I still didn't have the organisation or the discipline of other people, and I was not as impervious to rejection as some people are, but I could take a lot. I did take a lot. I took a lot of rejection. I think I took more than most people take, but I do understand that there are people who've made it, who've gone through the experiences I went through back then, and it hasn't slowed them down for a second, and they've just continued, and they've done that for twice the length of time, thrice the length of time, 10 times the length of time, and they've just eventually just forced their way into some measure of success. And I really respect those people, and I'm not one of them, to be honest. And part of that is it started to. I was a mess of a human being, and I can't attribute all of it to that, definitely. And I think had I been successful in the way I wanted to, I would have been even worse. Girls and money and drugs and bad influences around and stuff. I would not have handled that. It's a good job women were a bit repulsed by me, to be honest, at that age, because I just I wouldn't have handled any of it. I wouldn't have handled the drugs, attention from women, money, or anything, all the things I wanted. I wouldn't have been able to handle them, and I fully know that now. But that doesn't change the fact that what I was left with, the lack of all of those things, and the lack of any real tangible sort of demonstrable measure of external success, that had its own pitfalls that were almost as bad, I would say. I was in a constant state of sort of ego death, and I felt so ashamed. I just felt so humiliated, and I always thought success is around the corner, so I chose terrible jobs, and I always did menial jobs, and I'm quite a smart person, but I was always like cleaning toilets and working in kitchens and stuff, and for my parents, I guess this was just completely humiliating, and I still had a bit of that like fuck it mindset. I didn't really care, and probably I romanticized it a little bit, but at the same time, after some time of living like that, you feel really bad about yourself and you feel humiliated, and I felt like it's not right. This isn't right, and it led to it was a very weird time. I had a lot of personal problems anyway, a lot of problems with me and my girlfriend, and she got quite decent jobs, funnily enough, which was unexpected in a way, and she was earning pretty good money, but to be honest, she was mostly supporting both of us because I earned so little, and she used to, I think, like spend quite a lot of it, and we never had any money. And there was times when we were both quite badly addicted to, I wouldn't say badly addicted to cocaine, but we were addicted to it, and enough that we wasted, a really good chunk of money on it for a year or so. And so we never really had any money to speak of. And there were many choices like that I made, and also that sometimes that we both made that were just 100% my fault, and would, detrimental to the possibility of success. But anyway, regardless, when you send thousands of emails literally in a period of like a few weeks, and you get 0 replies, and things like that, it's quite taxing. You feel like you're a pest, and you feel like you feel ridiculous, and you feel like you've wasted your time, and you feel angry and sad and rejected and pretty lonely. I felt like, like me and my girlfriend weren't getting on very well a lot of the time, and she kind of had a very different life, and I was like alone a lot, and constantly trying to reach out to people. And some of it is probably, if I saw it now, I'd be embarrassed, like I would send emails to people. I'd send emails to people's managers and stuff, and I'd be like, what should I do? Like, I'm just so desperate, I really am, and stuff like that. And I was always trying to contact people, and always trying to get some bloggers to, I thought as well, which I now know is not true, but I thought if like Pitchfork or someone wrote about you, that you were sorted, and that you'd become successful off the back of that, which is not even remotely true. It helps, of course, it's a good thing, but nowadays it doesn't mean a great deal. I don't think anybody reads that anymore. They're a bit of a joke of a publication, and some of their staff were incredibly unpleasant, and some other bloggers I spoke to, most of the time they just wouldn't. I would message a lot of them on Instagram, and they would read my messages and not reply. And again, stuff like that, it's fine, whatever, deal with it. I get that. I'm not trying to, but it just, when it's your life and it's effectively your job, your career, and you've received no money, you've spent some money on it, and you've lost money is what I mean to say. And most of the people who you sort of require, you feel that you require as your sort of almost like colleagues, they're just like, they won't speak to you, and you feel kind of like they hate you. You start to think these people either they hate me or they just think I'm terrible and embarrassing, and they think I'm just stupid and an annoyance. When that's your world every day, it's really bad for your self-esteem. It's really it makes you feel so bad. I don't know, man. I can't explain it. And as I said, like, been various things have happened in my life that have been very difficult. Again, not on the scale of, I'm not like one of the Fritzl kids or something, but I know what it's like to suffer. I have some sense of perspective, and I've been around a good amount of it and stuff. But that time was very, 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 very hard. It's it's Chinese water torture, man. It's like, you could see it and go, yeah, so what? They didn't fucking reply to your thing, or this thing didn't work out, or this, but like, over time, because it would happen, and you'd go, all right, fucking shake it off, today's a new day, let's fucking go, like, new plan, let's go, and I'd watch all these videos and like positive, shit, and like try and get myself like psyched again, and I'd watch like, so-and-so's 10 rules for success, and like, all these compilations of like musicians talking about how they made it, and they'd be like, yeah, what I did was I wrote a list of all the people that I knew could help, and then I did this, and then, or like every day I posted a thing, or I did, I listened to all these things that like were inspiring things, and they would inspire me, and then I would do stuff, and it was just like, just like, it would just sink. And I'd be like, oh man, I've got to do it again. Like, I've got to pick myself up again. And I'd have these personal disappointments, and I'd get so hopeful again. I'd be working on a project, and I'd be like, this is so good. This is going to be it, And what I must say is, during this time, I had, for example, a couple of things that went pretty well. I had one song, which I have mixed feelings towards, but this song Yoshi's Circuit that it kind of like blew up a little bit on Reddit, and it now has 50,000 views or something. It got a lot of views, basically. It's kind of a silly song. Like, for a while I hated it. I wouldn't say I hated it, but for a while I just didn't want to listen to it, and I was like, I don't want to hear about Yoshi's Circuit. It kind of annoyed me because I felt like I had much better music that no one cared about. But I now see, well, it's a fun song, and people want to have fun, and not everyone wants to share in your emotions with you just because they might be well expressed, but it doesn't mean that that's something that people want, and it matters what people want, and that kind of thing, people wanted it, people wanted that song. That doesn't mean that I should be obliged to keep making stuff like that, but I also have to understand, like, people want that sort of thing. And I listened to it the other day, and I thought, yeah, it's quite funny. Like, I do like this song. It's good, it's funny and stuff and whatever. It's quite interesting, and it's just funny. And I'm glad that it had the success that it did, and I probably had a chance at that time to capitalize on that. I had a moment. I actually had this window. I had my foot in the door. I had a buzz, and I didn't capitalize on that. It was very early on, and I was not ready for it. For example, the next single I put out directly after that, I took it down because I played it and I was like, the mix is fucked. So I took it down after like an hour or something, or maybe more, and re-uploaded it, and everything got very chaotic. And then I released some very bad music. I think sometimes I don't know if this is sort of modern like pop psychology or whatever. I don't know if there was sometimes a degree of self-sabotage in some things I put out later. I don't know if it was self-sabotage or it was me saying I can do whatever the fuck I want, and like I'm not beholden to what anyone else likes, and I'm going to do weird stuff just to prove that like I do weird stuff and that I'm avant-garde and that like I don't care what's popular and what's, and I don't know. But I can look back and see, yeah, man, like the buzz I had from that, I sort of threw it away. And that's definitely my fault. I don't remember where I was, but yeah, there were various other times anyway. There'd be little upticks and stuff, but then I'd start working on things and I'd be like, this is going to be the thing, you know, people are going to love this is going to take off. And then I would do it and just like nothing would, you know, I would upload it and it would get like 12 views in the first 2 days or something, and then I would post it on loads of places and it would get like it would get to like 70 views, and I'd be like, oh Jesus Christ, like what am I doing, you know? And there were all these obstacles and always new things, and I was always thinking, this is the problem. I figured out the problem. I know now what the problem is. And, you know, I talk about it to my girlfriend a lot, and like sometimes she was sympathetic about it and really cool about it, and I guess at times like she was just a bit fed up of it, and other times probably could have been maybe a bit nicer, but again, like was probably a bit fed up of hearing about it because it was just my life. And we would talk about it sometimes, and she'd be like, you know, maybe it's because you don't do this, or maybe it's this. And I'd be like, okay, right, yeah. Let's fucking go about it this way or that way, and do this thing, and change this, and all these little schemes and ideas. And I would get, at times, I lost myself a bit, and I would make things that weren't really me, you know, that I felt like were popular, or things that I went through every possible like head spin that you could over this. And I would get dicked around by people, and I did everything I thought that I could do, and I thought, okay, I need to start doing shows and stuff, and I'd go and I'd do these open mics, and they were just like they were just humiliating most of the time, like, and you have to wait and watch everyone else's show, and I'd be out all night, and I'd just get like disrespected by the MCs and stuff. Or people would just be like, what the fuck was that? You know, and I had one, I remember this drunk girl got on stage, and I was already kind of bombing. I was like badly bombing. And then this drunk girl got on stage, and she was like putting her arm around me and like grabbing the mic and stuff. And everyone was just kind of like watching and laughing. And I was like, obviously I couldn't like really do anything. I couldn't like, you know, assault her. So I kind of just like took it and then like mumbled my way through the song, and it was the whole I've told it before elsewhere, I can't remember, but the whole night was like really, really, really just like painfully humiliating basically. And I would leave, and you know, I guess I probably could have taken some of those things in good humor, but I didn't most of the time. I felt very angry and upset, and I remember going home and I was like borderline like crying over it, you know, and I was listening to 30 by Danny Brown, and I just I was it's one of my favorite songs ever. It's so good, and sometimes I don't know. Sometimes with someone like him, for example, they start out, they make stuff like that, and you feel very attached to it. And then now, I guess he's become, to me, he feels more like a celeb. Do you know what I mean? Like he feels more like he's just part of the scene, and he hasn't done anything wrong. You know, he hasn't. There's no reason for me to. As a part of me, I feel a sort of resentment towards artists who are part, especially in this whole sort of LA thing and rap as a scene. It feels, again, it's quite like social and quite, it's like a club. And I guess he's become maybe more normal and successful and things that for him are good. And you shouldn't expect anyone to be the way that you want them to be for their whole life, but I guess I maybe I harshly judge people who that happens to, you know, not because they have success, because like he did before, you know, but because they it feels like, I guess, some of their success is maintained or predicated upon aspects that I feel are not sort of meritocratal like they were, as opposed to when they started, you know. And I've become, I guess, very, very skeptical of and jaded about and bitter about the music scene in general. And when someone appears to be part of the scene and part of the scenery, I start to just, I feel annoyed by them. And I feel like I've had a lot of like gripes with Kanye West, especially recently, but he's a lot of the time avoided being, he's been such an individual in that way. You never felt like he felt like, at times the opposite, but at times it felt like he sort of belonged to the people. And even though he's very like up his own arse in certain ways, it's like he certainly wasn't like one of them, as it were, you know, and was often staunchly in opposition to them. Yeah, I don't know, that's a tangent anyway, it's completely besides the point, but I listened to 30 and I was like so emotional and I was like, man, and so these experiences would they would inspire me and motivate me in some ways. I made a song called T2 after that night. I recorded it and made it and recorded it, and it's probably one of my best songs, and at the time it definitely was. And it was on the back of that experience and listening to his song and stuff. And there was times it was quite, you know, it was cool in a way. It was like I was living this like, you know, thing, but it just it got sad after a while. I'd get more and more disciplined and serious and organized, and it felt more and more like it did not matter what I did, basically. And there's a million other aspects of it I could get into, and you know, like if this was therapy, I would, but I understand that probably already this video is quite lengthy and boring, and I'm sort of masturbatorily just describing, you know, very personal events that probably aren't that interesting. But it was just a lot of rejection. Basically, that was the main thing. Was a huge amount of rejection, and the things still, to be honest, I mean, things that still perturb me a bit to this day, like, because I see people, for example, who have like, they seem to have a much less of a following than me, and I go on their Bandcamp and you see the supported by thing, and there's like 50 people in there, and then I'll get people who are like, oh man, like, your music's amazing, it changed my life, there's no one else doing this is so good. And I look at my and I'm like, not like 2 people bought my album. Like, I don't understand. I just don't understand. And I don't understand how I could never leverage any of that into anything else, into this appreciation and enjoyment people have. Maybe it's the nature of the type of people that enjoy it. They're a bit like me, maybe a bit like stingy and private and stuff. I don't know. But my girlfriend used to get annoyed, and she would be like, these people are fucking annoying. Like, they keep telling you how good you are. Well, why is no one... And I would always say, no, I can't. You can't think like that. I'm really grateful that they say these nice things, and like, I'm grateful that they even listen. And I am. But it would hurt, to be honest. Like, it would hurt. Like, I would feel sad. Once in a while it still happens, you know, I go on someone's thing and I'm just like, man, like, you know, I didn't expect a lot. By the end, I say by the end, I'll explain what I mean by that in a minute, but I haven't finished making music, I haven't stopped, and I still believe I will be successful, whether it's while I'm alive or not. I believe that what I'm doing is with a purpose, that it is my purpose, and that it's the right thing to be doing, and I kind of believe that these are just challenges that are put before me. But yeah, I'd see things like that, and it would make me so. I just feel so sad. I just think like, years of work, man, like years of work. And again, if I'd been told from day one, you're nothing but shit, I would have thought, okay, clearly, like, the market research is out and it's a no, and I'll just make things for myself. But that didn't happen, you know. So it was just always baffling to me. It was just baffling. Things like that, you know. Seeing and I could never get enough shows together to, like, you know, get paid for any of them, or like do anything that was, and then I don't know, I would see local things, for example, like there would be like local magazines, and they would write about every fucking Tom, Dick and Harry in town, because it was a local thing. There's barely anybody to write about, and they just would not reply to me. And I'd be like, man, like, I don't know, I'll look at these people who they're writing about, it's like no one even listens to it. No one even listens to their music. The people who listen to it are just like, fire, bro, and it's like their mate. And like, it's bad, like, it's just objectively bad. Why? Like, what? I just couldn't understand it. I just couldn't understand, like, why? Like, I'd set my standards very low by that point, and I just thought, bit of money, $100 a month, something, just to sort of say, just to feel some form of legitimacy, you know, $200 a month, maybe a piece in a semi-legitimate thing that I could say, like, yeah, see, you know, mum and dad, I'm not a complete bum, like, I've been, you know, or like, I played at this place, or I did something, just a little taste of, like, you know, something resembling a career or success, rather than just a hobby that some people took a passing interest in, I guess. I wouldn't say a passing interest, it's wrong. I don't mean to. I've always been extremely grateful of the extent to which people have listened. But no, yeah, it's hard. It's hard not to feel when you put that much time into something. And when I overcame all of my, not all of it, but I overcame a lot of my bad tendencies, and I started to work pretty hard. Yeah, it was never enough. And I know that had I done more, I would have gotten more out of it. And I know that there was times I just didn't do enough, even when I was maybe working quite hard. I should have been working really fucking hard, and I should have done more. And that's just on me. Like, it's my fault. I do fully know that now. But that doesn't change. That doesn't explain everything to me. It really doesn't. And it would be things like, there were some people who wrote for various magazines. I'd go on, I'd find the lists of the journalists for every magazine, and like try every means of contacting them, and I'd rewrite every email, and I'd be like, I need to try friendlier, or maybe less friendly and more serious, or maybe like more descriptive, and maybe I should be more casual, or maybe I should be more formal, or maybe I should, you know, I even made a fake manager at one point. I made a fake manager it was me pretending to be my own manager. And I would send all these emails, and I would message them, and like a couple of them were really rude. Like, when they did reply to me, they were like really rude. From the bigger magazines and stuff, the music, you know, websites and stuff, like very oddly mean about me as a person for no reason. But then there would be others where they would keep opening my messages and reading them and not replying. There was this one woman, I was just thinking, like, just block me, you know, like, or just tell me, no, sorry, I'm not interested. And I'd be like, did you listen to it? And seen. I'd go back 2 days later, and I'd be like, hi, like, just, really hoping you could let me know if you listen to it, because I send a lot of this stuff and I just never hear anything back. And it was getting to be a bit like a sort of weird like A24 movie or something, like a fucking Charlie Kaufman screenplay. It was like, what's going on here? Like, why are you opening my messages if you won't? Just don't open them. Just ignore me or block me. And I would start sending jokes. I just started sending funny jokes and stuff. And then I would try and wind them up, because I thought, okay, like they're not even, and I just couldn't even, I still can't understand it. I step back and I look at all of this stuff and I see how much of it was my fault, and I see how much of it was understandable, like that I understand why listeners don't like certain things, and I understand at certain parts I just don't understand. I just don't. And like my girlfriend doesn't either. I know she's like my girlfriend. It's like saying my mum thinks I'm great or something, but like we just both would just sometimes be like, what is going on? Like, it's like a joke, It's like a joke being played on me sometimes. And then there was the I guess what fed into a lot of it with the journalists and the bloggers was there's a very, very, very pronounced socio-political bent in their work now. If you go on any of these websites that cover hip-hop culture along with other alternative genres, not that hip-hop is an alternative genre anymore anyway, but you know what I mean, that cover sort of alternative hip-hop and other sort of parallel genres, you go on their website and it's like, you can see what their feeling is, and you can see very clearly they do not like people like me, and that just from my appearance and my sort of disposition and demeanour and the way I sound and the way I approach music, I am like bad. There's something bad about me. If you don't look at these magazines, you might think that sounds paranoid, or it sounds like one of many things in this video that might sound like I'm kind of like lashing out or blaming people or pointing fingers, but it's just true. I mean, it's very, very clear. Everything has a very specific kind of angle to it, and they will even put out things saying like looking for BIPOC or LGBT plus or something for a showcase, or for a please send your work, we're looking to promote more work from diverse stuff. And I'd be like, I'm kind of diverse. I've looked at your website, I'm pretty diverse compared to, like, I think if it's not really diverse what you're doing, actually. It's kind of become the opposite. It's not diversity if you sort of single out certain people for not fitting into your vision of diversity, so it was like there was that, definitely, but I wouldn't say that explained all of it, because there are people who don't fit that mold who get through. So yeah, a few years ago I decided not that I would stop making music, but that I could not continue in the way that I was, because I was miserable. I was truly miserable. And every day it was like, I don't know if any of you have ever been in like financial disrepair, in heavy debt or anything, but there's a feeling, you literally carry it around with you all day. Like if you've got like debts or something or financial problems, it's like a backpack that you wear and it never comes off. It is there all day. You might forget that you're wearing this backpack, but you are wearing it all the time, and you cannot be truly happy. It's always there, and you can't get around that. In my case, with the sort of backpack I was carrying, it was similar, but I was able to, I guess at a certain point I said, okay, I'm not going to keep doing what I've been doing. I'm not going to keep saying this should be a career and it needs to be a career and I need to make it happen today. I'm going to stop saying that. I'm going to stop I'm going to stop obsessively emailing people and labels and journalists and other artists, and I'm going to stop trying to do all the things I think I'm supposed to do I'm going to stop trying to run it like a business, basically, and I'm just going to be an artist, and if people listen, they listen, and if they don't, they don't, and I will do some things to try and promote it, but I can't do all the shit, following the rules, doing all the things I was under the impression that would help. Treating it like it's my only possibility of success in life. I will feel like I have failed if it never goes beyond where it is now. I will feel always like I failed. And some days that bothers me. But I know that there is absolutely no point thinking about it, and I know that you never know what will happen to you in your life. Like, you never know, someone I love might die, and I might think, this is real, you know? Why did I waste all that you know, you have to be happy while you can. You have to let life in and think around these problems that you have, because it just destroy you. Otherwise, you'll never be happy. You know, if your happiness is outcome dependent, then you'll just quite possibly never be happy. And I realized that, and I thought, okay, I'm going to keep making music. I'm going to make what I want to make. I'm going to try and be smart about how I do it and not bother releasing things. If people are going to hate them, what's the point releasing them? You know, I'll still make them if I want to make them, but I'm not going to try and ram stuff down people's throat. And I'm just going to try and have a more sensible, easily maintainable system. And I'm not expecting success from this. I've started to think I have to be successful at something else first, and use that to become successful at music. And it's gotten to a point now where some days I forget even that is really what I want. And I've buried it because it's very painful to feel like you're supposed to be doing something and you can't do it. You know, it's like, I should be doing this. I need to, you know, like, it's so I think I've started to invest my time and energy into lots of other things, and some of them I've grown to really enjoy doing. Me and my girlfriend do a podcast, and it feels to me the same in a sense. Like, I feel like it's really good, and I feel like we should be doing it, and it's worthwhile, and it's different, and it's really special, and doing it feels right. You know, it feels right. It feels good, and I'm mostly focused on other things these days. I'm still making a lot of music, but I'm not like, it's not what it was. But then once in a while, something triggers that feeling of like, oh man, this is who I am. Like, this is the thing that gave me, when I had like no purpose and no identity and like nothing good in me, it gave me everything. And I feel like it's what I was born to do, and I love doing it. But I've had to push that down. It's a bit like I think being gay in a time where you can't be gay, you know, and you're just like, I'm just gonna have to pretend I like women. I have to stop thinking about cock. It's a bit like that, really. It's just it was too much, and I wasn't I was never jealous of people in a way of like, why does he have this and everything. Like, I couldn't. At times it was hard to. There were certain artists who I found it hard to. I found it hard to listen to their music and watch their music videos, for example, because I just so badly wanted to have that kind of like. I wanted to work with them, and I wanted to have the access that they had, and to. I guess that is jealousy, but I didn't feel it wasn't malignant jealousy. It was just like. It became hard. It was at first I would just look up to people like that and I'd be like, I can't wait to get there. And then when I felt like it was impossible to get there, I thought, don't show me, you know. It's like I don't want to see it, you know. It's sort of like I don't know. Yeah, it was hard, and I had to force that out of myself and say, no, I like these people's music and I have to listen to it, and I have to, but I started also to feel like, they hated me, and it made me hate them. Sometimes I felt like this whole world doesn't like me, and I feel, and some of that is in the music. In a lot of rap, I think there is a disdain for the listener and a lack of respect for the listener. And I don't say that as someone who's attempted to have a career in music. I say it just as a listener. Sometimes I feel like these people hate me and think that just what I am is kind of like bad, and it feels like there's a total lack of respect for me in the listener in this music. But similarly, also as someone who I felt very much rejected by the music industry, I felt even more so sometimes. I was like, oh man, this is like one big party and I'm not invited, and listening through the walls with a cup on my ear is a bit pathetic, you know. So yeah, I changed the way I do things, and most of the time it's all right. And I'm still doing it. I'm making music, but sometimes I think what I was meant to do was to make it and for it to be heard. And I don't care about me. Like, I don't care about what people think of me. And I've never liked it when people praise me, to be honest. Like, I like it when people praise things that I do. I like to see that what I'm doing is good. And for it, I know people are like, oh, why does anyone have to hear it? It's still great or whatever. Like, when you make good things, generally speaking, I can't understand why you would not want people to appreciate it and enjoy it, and for it to add value to the world. And that's a large part of why I'm doing it. You know, the source of it comes from me, but the motivation to extract that source is the world. Like, I want it to mean something, and that engagement with the world is what I'm trying to do. That form of communication with the outside world, and that form of just having an impact on things, and I sincerely want to like positively impact the world. Like, I really deeply want that, and so whilst I'm still making music and I really like the things I'm making, and I think probably I've gotten a lot better recently, the quality is a lot better. I miss having the optimism that I could reach people with it, and I can reach some people, and I'm always, I never want to disrespect that, because that's a really good thing, but I always wanted to reach a lot more people, and to do something meaningful. And Yeah, I feel that in me sometimes, and I'm like, man, I'm 30 now, and like, I'm not 60. I know that, but like, shit, man, like, life's passing by, and I could keep banging my head against the wall and doing over and over again the same things that aren't working and failing, or I could say, okay, and like kind of draw a line in the sand and try to focus my energy productively elsewhere, which is what I'm doing. And mostly that's going really well. And it's been good, and I'm glad. But I hope that it was all for something, and that it will all continue to be for something. And I hope that I'm not wrong, to feel that this was the best possible thing I could do with my one life, because you get one, and you have one. You should put more into the world than you take out. And why would you want to just live and exist? I don't know. It's like if this was a game, if this was a computer game, and they were like, okay, you get one save going through this game. Do you want to like just kind of play it, and like the character survives and you do some stuff, or do you want to like really try and like do something? Like, it's kind of like how I feel. I feel like why would you just live? And I really want to do something meaningful, and for me, for my nature, it's not going to be as a fucking scientist, or in the SAS or something. Like, it was this, and I knew it was this, and I still believe that this was the right thing, and if it turns out to be the right thing in a Van Gogh kind of way, then yeah, that's better than nothing, better than that not happening. But it would be cool to have a little taste of it, while I'm alive, and it would give me some peace, and it would be nice for people like, for example, my parents. It'd be nice for them to know that shit's all right, and I'm kind of over that part of it now. But that used to, drive me nuts, like thinking, man, they must think I'm so pathetic. But I think the way I'm approaching things now has helped anyway, in terms of the quality of things I make, and I have to just love it for the sake of loving it, and have faith that love that I put into it, as long as I maintain that and I don't jeopardize that and I don't contaminate that with other things, that it will pay off in some way, and that it was worth it, and it was a worthwhile thing to do. Yeah, that was all really. I just wanted to sort of get all this stuff off my chest, because I was thinking about it a bit earlier, and I thought, yeah, do a video about it. Thanks for watching if you made it this far. This one has been long, and yeah, I guess I'm going to go and crack on with doing something else productive. Maybe make some music after this. Who knows? We'll see what happens. I hope you guys are all doing well. If anyone's had any similar experiences or relates to this in some way, I'd be really interested to hear about it. And yeah, I'm not making this to say I'm unfortunate in the grand scheme of things compared to people who are going through really, really serious things, but I still think it's good to talk about things that upset you, and to, like, I'm not under any illusions of how this should be perceived. It's just how I perceive it. To me, it's sad. But I think I've learned a lot anyway. So yeah, cool. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. One other thing I wanted to add, actually, is I guess one of the most difficult parts to explain is I feel very lucky in myself to have a purpose, to have something that feels to me like a calling, and I think to have that is much better. Like, I think my life is a life where you feel you have no purpose and you have no direction, and like, I feel like what I have is much better than that, and I'm really grateful for that. I really do understand that keeps you going as a person, and a lot of the time modern life is just like sustenance, and it's not fulfilling, and I'm grateful in that regard. And in myself, I can be happy. But part of the problem I always had, and to some degree I guess still have, is it's not about me. It's about the result of something I'm trying to manifest in the world. So, like, it doesn't matter how I feel, in a sense. How I feel is inevitably affected by it, but I'm not doing it to feel good, if that makes sense. I'm not doing it because I think, oh, this would be great. I'd be happy as a musician. I would be happy as a plumber, shagging women and like making loads of money, as a lot of plumbers do, depending on where you live, and having a nice house and getting coked up. And I'll probably, that sounds actually pretty bad. I've painted quite a depressing picture. I don't really know what real life is like, but I would be happy with money. Do you know what I'm saying? If it was about me I would be having a family and just a normal life, like, I would be happy, but that feels sacrilegious to me. Like, and I felt like I was told, no, you have to do this. And I was grateful for that. It gave me direction. It gave me a purpose when I needed one. And people would often be like, well, who cares? We'll just enjoy life and stuff. And I was like, it's not about me enjoying life. It's like if you have a kid, you have kids, and you have a kid, and your kid is dying, or he's like a drug addict, or his life is terrible. It doesn't matter what's going on in your life. You might be having the best time ever, but you're not living for you. You're living for your kid, and you're like, no, man, like, something's wrong. And it's a bit of a head fuck in this regard, because you kind of, you're beholden to, you are outcome dependent. You're beholden to something that's sometimes feels beyond your control. So a lot of times I thought, I can just get all fucking like zen and shit and have a happy life, because I want to have a happy life. But I'd be like, yeah, that doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't change the situation. It's not, if I was doing this to make myself feel good and to make myself happy, I could say, okay, this isn't making me feel good. It's not making me happy. I'll find another way to feel good and be happy. And I don't want to get all like, but like, I feel like sometimes when you feel you have a calling, it's something bigger than yourself. And that's the main part that was so disconcerting, and it was like, it's not really a selfish need. There were definitely selfish aspects. I used to think a lot like, man, I could like get girls and shit, and I could have money, and like people would think I was cool and stuff, and like all of this stuff, of course. But that was not the driving force. And so you're like trapped, because you sort of, it's like, there's one acceptable outcome, you know? There isn't another way around. There's not something else. And that was the problem I faced. And I guess lately my solution to that has been a little bit like, sorry, you guys are probably fucking yawning as well if you're still watching. My solution to that has been to kind of just say, all right, well, this doesn't seem to be happening, and sorry to, you know, whoever or whatever, like, but I fucking tried, and I have to be a good person as well, and I was struggling to be a good person in the midst of all of that, and I was not a good like partner or family member, and part of me, I felt indebted to the universe, and I started to think like, it feels ugly, an ugly thought, and bad to say it out loud, but I just thought like, what about me, man? Like, you know, like, I want to be all right. I want to chill out, and I don't want to feel like shit every day of my life. And perhaps I'm supposed to. Perhaps I should have continued doing that. Perhaps that's just, you know, what my life was meant to be. And I've done something wrong by refusing to feel like shit every day in service of this thing that's bigger than me. But I started to think, okay, I'll serve that, but I have to like be Kieran as well, you know, like, and I can't be this dysfunctional guy anymore. And honestly, I feel that was right. I do feel that was the right decision, and I don't feel I've disobeyed God or something, or I've done something deeply wrong. I feel like probably that balance is healthy and important, and that this was all meant to be in some way. Yeah, I don't know which bit I'll put this in, because I recorded this after I've already done my like outro and said thanks for watching and all that stuff. I don't know if you're watching this, I might have cut that bit out, or but anyway, yeah, basically, to summarize how I previously outroed the video, apologies if I'm repeating this now, it depends how it all, you know, but yeah, I understand in the grand scheme of things. I'm not trying to say that this is this is so bad, you know, for me, you know, to feel sorry for me. I'm just telling it I'm just saying how I feel, like, you know, like, and I'm not expecting anybody to care or even think it's interesting. I just feel like it's good to say how you feel, and I feel like probably there are other people in the world in the same position who aren't just trying to like be popular and like make money and stuff, but people who actually believe that it's the right thing to do. And it might not be an artistic pursuit, it might be something else you're trying to achieve in your life, and you feel like it's a good thing to do, and you're trying to do something good, and you feel tethered to that, and it can be extremely difficult. So whatever. Yeah, thanks for watching, and take care. Have a nice day or evening or whatever. Bye, guys.